Do we really need derivatives? Short answer, yes, because maybe you have a test coming. For long version, listen to the video. Alright, yeah. Let's try to address this. Basically, that's what I mean by that. So, the simplest way to, show you an instance where we use derivative is this. You must have come across such questions a lot actually by now. If not, you have one, right? So, yeah. Basically, let's say this question we have. We'll take a physics question only. A particle's position is given by the equation, an equation that looks like this. Say position is x is equal to 3t squared plus 2 in meters and t is in second, right? That's what this equation basically governs the position of the particle. Question is, find the velocity. Find the velocity of the particle at time 2 seconds. Simplest ways. I'll just show you how do we use it, and then the real deal is gonna come later only. Right, so let's try to solve this. I don't know. Solution, right? So it goes, and you've already learned this little thing in the previous video, that derivative of x to the n is n into x to the n minus 1. Here x was the variable and f of x was the dependent function. Here in this case, actually, if you see carefully, it's the time which is the independent variable, and x becomes the dependent variable. Based on what time it is, the position changes. So you could just sort of change it like that, change that expression like f dash of t to the n would be n into t to the n minus 1. Instead of x being the independent variable, in this particular question, t, the time, is the independent variable. Let's use that and then try to get something. Right? And we know that the rate of change of position is velocity. You must have come across this expression. Velocity is dx by dt. Writing dx by dt is basically differentiation. This little d by dt, yes, I'd like to mention that also. I'll just do that here. Whenever you see d by dx for a independent variable of x, or d by dt, if you see d by dt of something, that means you're basically finding the derivative of that function, of whatever you have in this bracket right here, or whatever is multiplied with d by dt. So d by dt is just a symbol. I shouldn't actually call it symbol, but yeah, whenever you see d by dt of something, that means you are finding the derivative of that something, right? Let's do that. So you have your little d by dt of, now for the real function, what instead of x, what is actually x in the question? It is 3t squared plus 2, and I'm going to use a little bit more than what I've actually taught in the previous video, but I hope you get the point. I'll mention all those things, whatever is happening here. Now, or wait, I'll just simplify the question a little bit, guys. Let's go with equation of x is given by just 3t squared, not plus 2. Forget the plus 2 part for now. So equation, the position x depends on time like 3t squared. So you don't really have that. It's just 3t squared. Okay, so it's just, what is going on? It is just 3t squared, and you don't really have this plus 2 to worry about. So ignore that, forget that, right? Yeah, anyway, coming back to point. So velocity is what they've asked. Velocity is rate of change of position, and then d by dt of that very function, which is 3t squared, which is going to be equal to 3 being a constant, and I'll explain all these things later, right? So whenever you have a constant multiplied with a function which is actually a function of an independent variable, in such cases you can just keep the 3 outside, and then you'll be left with d by dt of t squared, or if you just simplify it now, 3 times, now you know the derivative of t to the n. What is derivative of t to the n? Derivative of t to the n is n into t to the power n minus 1, and if you compare these two, your n is 2, so it's simply going to be 2 into t to the power 2 minus 1, which is just t to the power 1, which is just t, right? So you have this. So your velocity expression is 3 into 2, which is 6t. This right here is not the velocity itself. This is going to be the equation which is going to govern the velocity of the particle. This is the equation for velocity of the particle. Now for the real question, find the velocity at t is equal to 2 seconds, right? So just substitute for t equal to 2 seconds, and then therefore you'll be able to get the velocity. So velocity at 2 seconds is 6 into, just substitute for t as 2, you'll get 2, and then velocity must be 12 meter per second. Fine, it worked out well, and clearly you saw us, do we really need derivatives? Not answering that just yet. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, so velocity is 12 meter per second. So clearly we did use derivatives and got the expression for velocity, and in fact value of velocity in this case. All right, but fine. You must be thinking that okay, you have given us an instance where it works, but like that is just for physicists and people or mathematicians, who are going to give tests and then get it done with. Who's going to use expression for velocity from, I don't know, 15-20 years from now in your life? Maybe you don't see your dad using velocity or derivatives. You don't see your mom using velocity, right? Or trying to find velocity by differentiating a function or finding derivative of a function. Then where do we really then really need it, right? Let's try to find that. Now listen to this part carefully. Let's say there is a grassland, okay, and in this grassland you have two major mammals living there. All the R's are for rabbit and all the W is for wolves, right? And apart from these two mammals, there are no other major mammals, carnivorous or herbivorous, not really. Of course, there are insects, birds, and what else, like bats and whatnot, right? But yeah, let's see what happens to rabbits and wolves and their population and whatnot, right? Looks like at a given time, let's say this is when you started noticing this particular ecosystem at time t equal to 0. You just started observing at this stage. Looks like clearly rabbits are much more than the wolves, right? And you have this little graph here for both population of rabbit and population of wolves. Why really we're doing this? It will be clear in a minute. Just be patient with me. Thank you. Anyway, so rabbits are R and wolves are W, and clearly looks like, at least in the beginning of time when you started observing, rabbits population is, let's say, over here. They are flourishing really at this stage. So rabbits population is over here, and wolves population clearly is much less. It's somewhere here, let's say, along the y-axis, right? That's y-axis is for population of rabbits and wolves. This one, the first one is for rabbit, second one is for wolf. Anyway, let's see. As time proceeds, obviously, wolves. The good thing about wolves is that they have plenty of rabbits to feed on, right? So wolves have a lot of rabbits to feed on, right? And wolves being wolves, it will not be very difficult to kill a rabbit and eat them, barbecue. A lot of rabbits to eat, at least in the beginning, right? So that's what we have. So as time continues, I'm thinking more and more rabbits are going to die. Of course, there will be reproduction, but at the same time, rabbits are going to need a lot of food, so they'll go on eating the. Wolves are going to need a lot of food, so they'll keep on eating rabbits like anything. And I'm thinking as time passes, the rabbits population is going to kind of drop. It will start dropping. Obviously there's no question in an ecosystem that I've explained. It's not really a feasible ecosystem, but yeah, in this case rabbits population will definitely decrease because wolves will feed on rabbit every day, right? So what is happening to rabbits? Wolves have a lot of food to eat, and what is happening to rabbit? They are busy being the food for wolves, right? So they are, dying. Death the rabbit. All right, that's what is happening. In the meantime, the wolves, while the rabbits population is decreasing, wolves are like flourishing, and these are not exact correct lines, but yeah, somewhere basically it's increasing, the wolves population. Fine. Maybe at a later stage, if you look at the ecosystem, it might look, because rabbits are dying and wolves are feeding on them, and not only that, there is always reproduction. So at a later time, a few months or few years down the line, if you see that their population now are more or less equal, with the wolves reproducing more and rabbit, while reproducing more of getting killed by wolves, right? So if you notice the little blue line here, you will notice that the rabbits and wolves population is almost matching up. This might go on for a little while also. In fact, at one point in time, the rabbits population will in fact go down further, and wolves population might at the same time increase, and maybe you will have come across at this situation wherein the rabbits are actually less than the wolves. All right, so if you are a zoologist, or you will be actually interested in what is actually happening to the ecosystem over there, and environmentalist, and all of us more or less in fact would be interested in knowing whether ecosystem is going good or not, right? We should be aware of all those things, and this is just an example, right? So now let's see what happens. Is it going to so happen that wolves will go on flourishing and their population will only go on increasing, and then rabbits population decreases? Because actually the whole point of evolution, the whole mission of any species in evolution is to increase their population, right? So will that happen for the wolves? I don't think so. In this ecosystem, at least, what will happen at one point in time is that there are so many more wolves than the rabbit that they are going to eventually run out of food. They'll not have enough rabbits to eat around, right? And with the initially young wolves in the beginning of time, the young wolves are now getting older, and then they'll die of age, and not even the young wolves have less food to eat on, and therefore they'll sort of start dying because of lack of food. And eventually what is going to happen is that the wolves population will reach certain maximum, flatten out, and eventually start decreasing, something like that, and it goes on. And what happens later, again, it depends on actually many factors. Here the only factor I'm considering is for wolves, availability of rabbits, and for the death of rabbit, the only factor I'm considering is wolves eating them. There are so many other factors. Rabbits might as well be dying due to several other reasons. The grassland that I've been talking about faced a drought, and then there is not enough grass to feed on. Actually, it's a grassland, it shouldn't be a big problem, but yeah, maybe one time there will be heat strokes, and the animals might end up dying because of that, and so on and so forth. The point I'm trying to make here is, there are so many variables on which the population of a given species depend on, right? And maybe at a later stage, if you see, again the rabbits will start flourishing, because wolves are dying like anything. So rabbits, all they need is grass to eat, and then they'll just feed on the grass, and then repopulate the region with the rabbit, and go back to maybe initial stage where there was, and it continues. You never know. Maybe in a duration of say 10 years, you would see, maybe I'm saying maybe you will see wolves end up, the population of wolves end up where it began, and population of rabbit might as well end up, not exactly, but yeah, this might as well happen. Then what happens later, you never know what happens. You don't know. Some of the species, let's hope I wouldn't call it extinct, but the species may uh, go to a critical point, and then you don't know what happens, right? Because there are so many factors. But the point is, if you are an environmentalist and you are studying this, you want to, let's say, conserve, you definitely have to do that, right? So if you're one of them who's taking active participation in this, you'd want to somehow balance this and keep the wildlife flourishing in that region, right? So what you do is you take this equation. This is the graph that we have plotted over this, right? So take this equation, find the rate at which something is going on. For example, this right here, if you were to find, now I'll go back to my slope case. If you were to find a little slope of this point, you will see negative slope, right? This is negative slope, that slope is negative. And for rabbits, at least in that point, and at the same point the wolves were flourishing, so positive slope. So you know that for sure that the wolves population is increasing and the rabbits population is dropping. And you remember, you've been noticing it for years, and once the slope is continuously showing negative values for several years, then you take some active measures to maybe conserve rabbits, save rabbits. And by saving rabbits, actually you are eventually saving wolves also at the same time, because if they feed way too much on the rabbits, at one point this might happen, apocalypse, at least in that region. So basically what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to, instead of d by dx, what I'm going to write here is d of rabbits divided by dt, rate of change of rabbits population. This is equation by some function which depends on rabbits population, also depends on wolves population, might as well depend on the I don't know whether there is a flood or not, so I'll use small f. I can't use f, I've already used that. Whether there was a too much of a rain that year, what do we call rain? I'll use some other variable z, that is, let's call that z as too much of rain that year, or a storm or whatnot, right? So it depends on many factors. One, the rabbits population obviously depends on the current rabbits population, obviously depends on wolves population, depends on the external factors that may go on around in environment. At the same time, same thing I can in fact use for wolves, the rate of change of wolves population, dw of dt, w stands for wolves, might be a function of the wolves themselves and the rabbit. And maybe wolves requirement is not z, let's call it some p or something, some other variable that the wolves population depends on. The point I'm trying to make here is, if you plot these graphs and then find out the rate at which something is happening, you can in fact go and act on it. Now this might to you sound like not a big of a this not a big of an issue as such to really address and then answer my question, do we really need derivatives for this? If you're thinking like that, no, not really, right? One of the interesting things right now, actually I ended up using rabbits and wolves, but this can actually be a very good example for the current pandemic that we have going on. Replace these wolves with the shouldn't actually with the virus population, right? So replace the wolves with virus population and replace the rabbits with the unaffected, basically the population of the world, basically you can say that, right? And you can, in fact, that will be a good analogy for what, and no offense in any way to if by mentioning COVID, if I ended up striking some chord, I didn't mean that. But yeah, what I'm trying to say here is that this could actually be a good example for that. And we have a lot of mathematicians in fact studying as to how the curve is going to go ahead, how the COVID cases are going to increase, decrease, and what happens. And in fact, based on the way the given graph is changing, you can in fact predict what is going to happen in recent or in the longer future also. So you might have heard of this exponential curve. They keep on saying this in the news, the curve is not flattening, the curve is flattening and whatnot, right? So it goes on like that. If it, that the same analogy you can use it for the coronavirus or COVID-19 pandemic that is going on right now. Just replace those with that. Yeah, that is just an instance, and these are again just a few instances. The application of derivative goes on and on forever, like you name it, and I'll tell you that it is definitely used over there. Agriculture, yes. The predicting weather, yes, whether a cyclone or storm is going to come, yes. Whether the temperature gradient and whatnot, that decides whether a storm is going to come or not. So weather, yes. Pressure, temperature, volume, what else, motion of everything, anything that is happening in universe, asteroids, right? So everywhere, what really matters is how something is changing, and that's what the derivative is all about, right? It tells you whether the change over a duration, you can, if you can study, and the during that duration, if the change is continuously going down or going up, or is it constant? Actually at this stage, at this point, the slope is almost constant. There will be no change at that point. Anyway, so you get the idea, right? Now with all this discussion, you answer me, do we really need derivatives? Yeah, you got it.